think of one, man. I mean, I probably have one or two lines that I that I remember. I don't know how good they are, But yeah, that probably something I wrote in high school or maybe even college. But
right.
I mean, but yeah, like I said, I was all right. I was all right. But I enjoyed production way more, and and production lent itself to. It lent itself to my personality a lot more, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because when you chop records, man, you're sampling something. There's a research element to that, because at least there was for me, because you have to find, different records, different things you want to sample and stuff like that. And so if I watched a documentary or if I, research something or whatever, like, I would incorporate that into a beat that I might make that day,
Right.
So if I was researching something that was kind of mundane, or maybe it was for school, or maybe it was, just something I was interested in, I was always that much more interested in it because I could use it. I could use it musically, maybe,
right.
potentially, So yeah. So that's. But that's how I got into production. I just, always liked it. Always wanted to know more about it. Was always as big, if not a bigger fan of producers than I was rappers. So it was either the same, like, sort of interest, or it was, very close. And that started out with like Jazzy Jeff and like, Slick Rick. People don't know, like, Slick Rick, helped to like co-produce some of the stuff on his first album, and the Bomb Squad started out with them, as well. Like, Public Enemy came out when I was in elementary school, but I listened to like, all of that, and I loved it. It was, I guess that's just how it started out for me.
Yeah.
And
so you have become quite the unique, controversial hip hop critic. And one thing I've always known about you, that you do not throw out the word classic lightly.
No, I don't.
And
I don't. You're right.
So tell us about that. Tell us about your perspective of what classic hip hop is. What makes a hip hop piece or an album or MC like a classic album, classic song, classic. How did you develop those standards?
I think it also goes back to my upbringing, and what I mean by that is, it growing up where I grew up, like, I didn't have any ties to any, like, I didn't have a dog in the fight, right? Like, I wasn't from Brooklyn, I wasn't from the Bronx, I wasn't from Queens, I wasn't from, LA, I wasn't from Houston, I wasn't from places where all these great MCs came from. So
right. I
was never burdened with liking an artist simply because they were from the city I was from.
Right.
So I always had the gift of not having ties to these people. So my objectivity was built in. Like, it was, because it was genuine. I mean, plus, we didn't really have dough like that growing up
right.
at all. I mean, that's an understatement. So for me, it was also an opportunity. And I say that to say that because we didn't have dough like that. Like, I couldn't just rush out and buy every album or see these people on TV like that or whatever. So what that meant was that I didn't know what Too Short looked like for a long time. Like, I didn't know what Wu-Tang Clan looked like for a long time. I had no idea. It took me a minute. And so in my mind, Wu-Tang Clan was like, they were like Parliament, so I immediately got the 36 Chambers concept. It was never weird to me, right? It should have been, but it was never weird to me. I never judged what people look like, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but here's why it is. Think about how differently we would treat certain artists if we didn't get to see them for the first year they came out. We didn't see their album cover, we didn't see a video, we didn't see them in an interview, and all we heard was their music, and for the first year that was it, right? So if Mariah Carey doesn't, if we don't get to see what she looks like, maybe how we treat her music's a little different, or maybe if you don't know that Public Enemy looks like that, right, with the Malcolm X pendants and the kente cloth on there, around around their medallion and so we know their music matches that, but what if we didn't know that at first? You know what I mean? So I had the benefit of that for a long time. I didn't know
blank slate.
Right. Like, I had to take you at your own merit. Like, I didn't know what Tribe Called Quest looked like for a minute. I didn't know that Cypress Hill, weren't black for a minute, or weren't, you know what I mean? Like, but so like I didn't know those things, or like I remember I heard I don't know, just a bunch of artists that became my favorites, but I didn't see them for a long time, and it's interesting. In pretty much every case, when I finally saw them, I thought to myself, yeah, that's about what I thought they would look like, in most cases. But yeah, man. So I think that's just my upbringing, and it's never been because going back to what you were asking about having controversial opinions or whatever. It's never been, for what it's worth, never on purpose. I don't know how somebody can sit in their room or their office or wherever and go, you know what, I'm going to say this really controversial thing just to get a rise out of people. Like, I've never once had that thought. I've never once done that at all. What I've done, I do what I've always done, which is I sit and I listen to something over and over and over again, and I give it its just due. Like, I give it the time I would give any project, and then I just say what I think, and maybe what I think is not, popular. I do the same thing about artists themselves. When we're talking about the artists themselves, and there are times where it gets me in trouble, right? Where people go, I don't agree with that, or whatever, but it's coming from a genuine place, and but yeah, man. So it's never meant to be controversial, at all. Like, not even a little bit. I promise you, it's not. It's just what I think. It's never meant to be contrarian at all. A lot of times, my opinion is the same as other people's, and there's nothing like unique about it, other than how I might have come to that conclusion. But unique in the sense that, hey, other people.
It's unique. It's unique because, like we talked about before, that how you like your frame of references. How you come to those conclusions. They may not be as socially and politically charged as others.
Sure.
I mean, the reality is, in many cases, we like things because we quote unquote supposed to like them,
Right.
And there are many people who ride on a team not based upon the actual reality of what and the resources that a team has. We ride it just because, and
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with being in a space where you have biases regarding an artist or something music, related to music, because of where you live or where you come from. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's the case, then what, are we not allowed to like our sports teams that we like? Or, it's no different.
Right.
But factor that in. when you go, who's your top 10? And you put like,
here we go. See, here you go.
Look, when you go through your top 10 and you put like, you put I don't know, you put Tretch on your top 10. Tretch is actually dope. He's probably not the best example, but if you put him on your top 10,
right?
Say that you're from New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Like say you're, factor that in.
Right.
Because look, it's a factor. It is a factor in that situation. It's a factor. Again, nothing wrong with Tretch. Tretch is dope. But, and again, that's why I said this is probably a bad example, but they're cats that put like the dude I told you, put Mano on his top 10. I mean, look, Mano is dope, but Mano doesn't belong in anybody's top 10. I think even Mano will tell you that. And, and there's nothing wrong with somebody saying, look, I like this guy, and part of why I like him is because he grew up where I grew up.